Right now, somewhere in open water, a warship is flying a flag. It is official. It is legal. And for millions of people across Asia, seeing it raises something that no amount of time has been able to quiet. This is the rising sun flag. In Japanese, Kyokujitsu-ki. A red disc sits off-center against a white background, and from it, 16 sharp red rays extend outward in a perfect burst, like a sun-frozen mid-explosion at the horizon. It is striking, graphic, the kind of design you remember the first time you see it. Today, it is the official naval ensign of Japan's Maritime Self-Defense Force. A slightly different version, 8 rays instead of 16, trimmed in gold, flies over the ground self-defense force. These are not ceremonial flags sitting behind museum glass. They are on active military vessels, at bases, in joint exercises conducted alongside the United States, Australia, and the United Kingdom. But that is only one side of what this flag is. The rising sun design is old, much older than the war that made it infamous. Japan's very name, Nihon, means origin of the sun. Samurai clans used sun imagery on their crests as far back as the 12th century. The 16-ray version was officially adopted as Japan's military war flag on May 15, 1870, during the Meiji Restoration, when Japan transformed almost overnight from a feudal society into a modern industrial state. And then Japan started moving. In 1895, Japan won the First Sino-Japanese War and gained dominance over Korea. By 1910, it formally annexed the Korean peninsula. 35 years of colonial rule followed. The Korean language was suppressed. Korean names were forcibly replaced with Japanese ones. Men were conscripted into labor, and tens of thousands of women, predominantly Korean, but also Chinese and other Asian nationals, were forced into slavery for the Imperial Japanese Army. They were called comfort women, a euphemism so soft it obscures something almost impossible to describe. The first survivor to speak publicly about what was done to her was a Korean woman named Kim Hak-soon. She did not come forward until 1991, 46 years after the war ended. She died in 1997, still waiting for formal justice. The flag flew over all of it. Japan pushed further into China. On December 13, 1937, Japanese forces captured the Chinese city of Nanjing. Soldiers planted the rising sun flag on the city's outer walls. What happened over the next 6 weeks became known as the Nanjing Massacre. Historian Iris Chang estimated between 20,000 and 80,000 cases of rape. Mass killings on a scale that even a Nazi German businessman sheltering civilians inside the city struggled to put into words. Every territory Japan entered, the rising sun flag came with it. Raised over cities after they fell. Flown above labor camps and military installations across a region stretching from the Korean peninsula to the Philippines to the islands of the Pacific. Japan surrendered in August 1945. The flag was never banned, not by Japan, not by the Allied forces who occupied the country after the war. Within 9 years of surrender, when the self-defense forces were re-established in 1954, the rising sun flag was officially readopted as the naval ensign. Germany, in that same post-war period, banned the Nazi swastika entirely under its criminal code. Public display remains illegal there to this day. Japan made a different choice, and that difference is at the heart of everything that has followed. The comparison to the swastika is not made casually. South Korea's government has made it explicitly and repeatedly. To the Korean people, who lived under Japanese colonial rule for 35 years, this flag is not a historical artifact. It is the symbol of the institution that did it. That feeling has produced real consequences at the highest levels of international sport and diplomacy. In 2017, the Asian Football Confederation sanctioned Japan after fans displayed the flag at a match. FIFA went further and formally banned it at international soccer matches. At the 2022 World Cup in Qatar, FIFA officials physically stopped Japanese supporters from hanging it during a match. Before the Tokyo 2020 Olympics, hosted on Japanese soil, South Korea's government sent a formal letter to IOC President Thomas Bach expressing deep disappointment that the organizing committee refused to ban the flag from venues. The IOC sided with Japan. A public petition demanding the flag be removed collected more than 48,000 signatures. The flag stayed. What connects all of this is not politics alone. It is memory. In 2021, Capcom, a Japanese company, quietly removed the Rising Sun design from the background of a stage in its re-release of Street Fighter II. No explanation was given. The absence of one said everything. In countries that were occupied, colonized, or invaded under that flag, seeing it does not feel like looking at history. It feels like something far more personal than that. Now look at the other side. And this part deserves to be heard fairly. The Rising Sun design was woven into Japanese life long before it became a military symbol. During the Edo period, centuries before the war, fishermen flew variations of it as good luck banners heading out to sea. It appeared on flags celebrating childbirth. It decorated seasonal festivals. For most Japanese people, those associations came first and run deepest. Japan's government position is consistent, and it is not irrational. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs states the flag is not an expression of political or discriminatory intent. It is a cultural symbol with roots that reach back centuries, and a naval ensign with legitimate ongoing use. Japanese Self-Defense Force sailors have described it as their pride. The Japanese Vexillological Association makes a pointed distinction. The Rising Sun flag existed long before the war and was never designed to represent political ideology the way the Nazi swastika was. Whether that distinction is sufficient is something different people answer differently. But it is not a dishonest argument. Here is the thing about symbols. They do not carry one fixed meaning across time or across borders. They carry the experiences of whoever is looking at them. A sailor who has served under the Rising Sun flag his entire career sees something real in it. A person whose grandparents survived Japanese occupation sees something equally real and completely different. Both of those things are true simultaneously, and neither cancels the other out. The question this flag keeps forcing into the open is not really about a flag at all. It is about what we decide history is allowed to look like when it has not yet finished being present. The Rising Sun flag will keep flying from Japanese warships. The people who grew up in the shadow of what it represented will keep reacting to it. And the gap between those two realities, between pride and pain, between heritage and wound, has never been smaller than the width of a flag on a mast.